And here we go. Again, back to When the Legends Die. Chapters 13 and 14 is our reading for today. And starting at page 49. And I'm set with my book and page 49. And of course, I have my coffee. So it's kind of close to a classroom, but then again, it's not. But getting ourselves started with chapter 13. And again, it is Blue Elk is taking Thomas Black Bull back to the Indian reservation. And unfortunately, they have to take the bear along the way because Thomas insists on the bear being his friend to go with. So chapter 13, page 49. Those of you that have been listening and following along, that's great. You may read along with that. Otherwise, a lot of you just listen and listen well, and we'll continue with that. Like all horses, Blue Elk's pony was afraid of bears. He had to send the boy and the cub ahead and walk and lead the pony with that first meeting. The next day was easier until they approached Town, and Blue Elk realized that the bear would create an uproar and possible shooting in the town. So he ran around the town through the rugged hills and reached the road to Bayfield. They traveled that road until they met a horseman who fired several shots at the bear from his revolver. But his horse had dancing all over the road, and shots went wild. And before the man could hit the bear, the horse bolted with him. Blue Elk led the way in the hills again, and on the third day they came to the road south of Bayfield to the agency on the reservation. Few people were on that road, so they followed it. The Utes, even reservation Utes, respected bears. They would shrug off such unexpected things as the sight of a boy in a clout, that's his clothes, with a bear cub at his heels. But they came in sight of the agency. Blue Elk wondered why he had done things this way. He wished he could do things over again and be rid of the bear, which made everything hard to manage, but things were as they were. They could not be changed now. And he said, "The bear must stay with you until I tell the people about him. Our people will not make trouble, but these others do not understand these things." The boy did not understand either, but he nodded. There were many buildings at the agency, the headquarters and the school and the dormitory and the barns and stables and the pens and corrals. A flagpole stood in front of the headquarters with a red, white, blue flag at the top. The boy watched the flag, wondering what it meant. Then he looked at the people hurrying from one building to another. Besides the men who were all dressed in white men's clothes, there were boys and girls, Indians, but also wearing white men's clothing. There were more boys and girls than he had ever seen. Only the girls wore their hair in braids, which was a strange thing to see. Blue Elk said, "We're going to talk to the agent, the headman. He will ask questions. You must not make lies to him. He will want to hear what you have to say, but first you must do as he says. Do you understand what I say?" The boy understood Blue Elk's words, but he did not know what Blue Elk meant by these words. He said to the bear, "We will talk to the headman of this big lodge." Blue Elk said, "If the bear makes trouble, the headman will not listen to what you have to say." The boy nodded, and they went on. Outside the headquarters were half a dozen Indians in blue pants and blue shirts and black shoes. They all had short hair. When they saw the boy and the bear with Blue Elk, they talked among themselves. And when Blue Elk and the boy and the bear went up the sidewalk to the doorway, the men there moved back and made plenty of room. They did not talk, and they did not try to stop the bear. They went inside, and Blue Elk led the way to a white man seated behind a desk. The man looked up and said, "Hello, Blue Elk," and they saw the boy and the bear. "What's the bear doing here?" he demanded sharply. "The bear belongs to the boy," Blue Elk said uneasily. "I brought the boy to talk to the agent. He should be in school." "Well, get that damn bear out of here," the man ordered. "Yes," Blue Elk said, "the bear should be put in a strong pen, but you have to do this." Then he added, "The boy does not understand your talk. He speaks only Ute." The man said, "Tell him to stay right here with his bear," and he hurried away. He came back with a strong collar and a chain. He handed them to Blue Elk. "Put the collar on the bear." The bear was watching him, wrinkling his nose as though it did not like his smell. But it stood quietly, the boy's hand on its neck. Blue Elk turned to the boy. "The man wants you to put this collar on the bear." My brother does not need this collar," the boy said. "Put it on him. It will be so he will not be hurt. These people do not understand bears. They're afraid of bears. They cannot listen to you when they're afraid. Put it on him." Reluctantly, the boy fastened the collar on the bear cub. "Come on," the man from the front desk said. "Bring the bear." They followed the man outside. He led the way to the log pen where they kept the wild horses while they were being broken. In the middle of the pen, a strong post was set in the ground. Watching the bear and staying carefully away from him, the man took the end of the chain and fastened it to the post. "Now," he said, "I'll see if that agent wants to talk to you. Come on." "Come," Blue Elk said to the boy. "The bear must stay here." "I do not like this thing." "Come, the headman cannot hear what you have to say unless the bear stays here." "My brother will not like this thing." That is the way it must be. Come. The boy spoke into the bear's ear, then reluctantly went with Blue Elk. The man from the desk locked the gate, and they went back into the headquarters building. You were a fool to bring that bear here, Blue Elk, the man said sharply. A cub that size could be dangerous, don't you know that? The boy would not come without him, Blue Elk said. The preacher told me to bring him in. I did this the only way I could do it. The man left them at the desk and went to a door down the hallway. After a few minutes, he came out and motioned to them, and Blue Elk led the way. They went to the office, and the men at the desk sat there. Well, Blue Elk, what have you got up your sleeves this time? The agent was a red-faced man with patches of freckles on his face and hands, and his thin, sand-colored hair and eyebrows and his eyes were so light blue they looked milky. He wore a dark gray suit and a closely buttoned vest and a white shirt and a blue necktie. His neck was fat and it bulged over his collar. I brought the boy, Blue Elk said. The preacher in Pagosa said he should be in school. The agent looked at the boy, and he smiled, then he frowned and said to Blue Elk, Who is he? What's he doing running around the clout? I understand you were stupid enough to bring a bear cub, too. That's been taken care of. Who's the boy? His name is Thomas Blackbull. He was baptized with that name. He's been living by himself off the reservation. The agent looked at the boy again. Is this true? He asked. Is Blue Elk telling the truth? The boy stared at him, bewildered, then looked at Blue Elk. He speaks only Ute, Blue Elk said. How does that happen? These kids pick up at least a smattering of English no matter where they live. He has no English, Blue Elk said. He has no father, no mother. They're all dead. He's been living alone in the old way. That doesn't make sense, the agent frowned again. You mean to tell me, he broke off then he asked, How old is he? Blue Elk shrugged. 11 years, maybe, I don't know. Go tell Fred to send Benny Gray back in. You wait outside, Blue Elk. I want to talk to this boy alone. Blue Elk said to the boy, This man wants to hear what you have to say. He says I should bring another person who speaks the tongue. He left the office. A few minutes later, Benny Grayback came in. He was stocky as most of the youth, perhaps 30 years old. He wore blue work pants and black shoes like the Indians the boy had seen outside the building, but he had a white shirt and a blue necktie like the agent. His hair was short and parted on one side. Benny Grayback was a vocational instructor in charge of the carpentry shop. The agent said, Benny, I want to talk to this boy. Blue Elk says he speaks no English. Is that true? Benny asked a question. The boy answered, and Benny said, That is true. He knows only Ute. The agent asked questions, then the boy gave answers, and Benny Grayback translated. What's your name? My name is Bear Brother. Blue Elk says your name is Thomas Blackbull. I don't know that name. Who's your father? My father's dead. Well, who's your mother? My mother is dead. Where do you live? I live in my lodge. Who lives with you in your lodge? The boy answered at some length. When he had finished, Benny Grayback said, He says he lives with his brother. He says his brother is a bear. He says his friends is a jay, and the squirrels and chipmunks also live with him. Benny smiled. No other person lives with him, he says. Well, how long has he lived alone? He says he has lived alone since his mother died. He says she died the winter before last. I think he must be wrong, but that is what he says. Well, tell him he will live here now with the other boys and girls. He will go to school here and learn the things that he should know. He says he did not come here to live. He does not understand school. He says he'll come to tell us of the old ways. Benny smiled at the agent again. Blue Elk told him we would want to know these things. He would come and tell us. That's what he says. The agent nodded. Sounds like Blue Elk. Tell him we'll want to hear what he has to hear about the old ways at a proper time. First, he must learn the new ways. He says he will go back to his own lodge until he wants to listen to him again. The agent sighed and shook his head. He must stay here for a while. Put it that way, Benny. Tell him I say he must live here for now. He cannot go back to his lodge. George said this, and the boy did not answer. The agent asked, Do you remember a George Blackbull? Benny, some years back, he got a permit to go to Pagosa and work in a sawmill. I think that's the name. He got in a scrape. He killed another man, but in self-defense, if I remember right. But he got scared and ran away and hid back in the hills, remember? Benny shook his head. It must have been while I was in school at Fort Lewis. I don't remember. He had a woman, I remember, and a small son. When he ran away, he took them with him. Blue Elk says the boy's baptismal name is Thomas Blackbull. So he's probably George Blackbull's son. Tell him his name from now on is Thomas Blackbull. Benny told the boy and shook his head. He says he already has his name, Bear Brother. Well, he'll be Thomas Black Bull here. Get him some clothes, Benny, and then check with Fred. I'll have him assigned to a room and look after him for a few days. Get him started. It looks like a bright boy can learn if he wants to. And Benny, don't let him turn that bear cub loose no matter what happens. I'll hold you responsible. The agent turned back to the papers on his desk and said, "Send Blue Elk in again." Benny Grayback spoke to the boy and they left. A moment later, Blue Elk came in, all smiles and expectancy. "This boy," the agent said, "is George Black Bull's son. Is that right?" "That is right." "Who told you to bring him in?" "The preacher in Bagosa. He said you'd want him to be in school. He said you would pay me for the trip. It was a hard trip, and I am an old man." "Well, I haven't any funds for that kind of thing. If you had come and told me, I would have sent my own men after him." He looked at Blue Elk and shook his head. "You would sell your own grandmother, wouldn't you, Blue Elk?" "My grandmother," Blue Elk said, "is dead." "I'll tell you what I'll do." There was an ironic smile in the agent's eyes. "I'll give you the bear for bringing the boy in." Blue Elk shifted uneasily from one foot to the other. "It's the boy's bear. I do not want this bear." "Well, you could take him to the bear dance next spring." "No," Blue Elk said. "I did not ask for the bear. I did not ask." "Very well." The agent cut him off. He went back to his desk, and Blue Elk waited. "If I need you," the agent dismissed him, "I'll send for you." Blue Elk went out, hurt and angry. The boy had caused all this trouble by bringing the bear with him. But as he left the building and went to his pony at the hitch rack, he knew what he would do. He would go to Johnny No Good's house down near Tiffany. It was almost 11 miles, but he had got Johnny No Good off when he was charged with stealing a goat last spring. Johnny No Good would feed him and give him a bed. Tomorrow he would borrow Johnny No Good's pack horse and go back to the hidden lodge on Bald Mountain. If the agents would not pay him for his journey, there were other ways. He rode past the horse-breaking pen. The bear cub was pacing back and forth, still chained to the snubbing post, grumbling to itself and biting at the chain. Maybe, Blue Elk said to himself, it was better that the bear was here, chained up here, and not loose on Bald Mountain, guarding the lodge. All right, so that's chapter 13. Again, the basic summary is Blue Elk has taken Thomas, Bear Brother, to the school, and the school's determined that he's going to live there now, even though Thomas was promised he would only be there, talk about the old ways, be allowed to leave. And again, the payment that, remember, he's been looking for is $10, and the agent says, well, you can have the bear instead. So instead, Blue Elk decides he's going to head back up to Thomas's home, his dugout, and he's going to ransack the place, take everything of value, do everything that he can with it, and sell whatever he can. So, again, Blue Elk shows his true colors, and now Thomas is hopelessly locked in this Indian reservation school with a bear. And that is chapter 13, and then next up we'll have chapter 14 on page 55.